Monsters had crashed into the world, throwing everything into pure chaos and dragging people into despair. Humanity fought tooth and nail, refusing to back down, clinging to whatever scraps of hope they had left to protect their homes. And among those battle-hardened badasses was none other than the MC of this story, Carcelian Lou Van Dyen. Yeah, this dude didn't just fight the monsters. He tore through them like a damn whirlwind. Years passed, and this guy was still at it, slaying monsters left and right, stacking corpses like it was just another Tuesday, all with a single blade in hand and zero fear in his heart. Then came that day, the day he faced off against Aaron's so-called brother from another mother. That bastard wasn't just tough. He was a goddamn cockroach, refused to die no matter what. The battle was a brutal slugfest, but Van Dyen eventually put that piece of shit down for good. Unfortunately, the aftermath wasn't exactly pretty. Van Dyen, too, kicked the bucket right after. But fate, being the twisted little shit it is, wasn't done with him yet. While his soul drifted aimlessly in the endless void, he ran into this human kid, some random dude from a backwater planet called Earth. The boy's name? Seo Dojan. The poor kid was basically knocking on death's door for some unknown reason. But before he kicked the bucket, he had one tiny favor to ask Van Dyen. Not that Van Dyen gave a damn. He cut him off before he could even finish talking. Seriously, bro just wanted to die in peace after everything. Already lost his country, lost his people, and got dragged down to hell itself. He was done with all this bullshit. But Dojan wasn't exactly begging for his own life either. All the poor guy wanted was for his family to live peacefully. And well, something about that hit different. Van Dyen finally gave in and listened. Seeing that tiny sliver of hope, the boy's face lit up like a kid walking into a candy store. He mustered up every bit of courage and asked Van Dyen to protect his family. And wouldn't you know it, our battle-hardened dude actually agreed to the damn request. Next thing you know, Van Dyen wakes up on Earth, now rocking the teenage body of Seo Dojan. And just like that, the mission began. His first stop is Nam Sing Gate, a C-rank dungeon. Of course, only officially registered heroes were allowed in, so the automated machine kept screaming at him to scan his ID card, something he obviously didn't have. Did that stop him? Hell no. He just waltzed right in, straight up smashing through the building like it was made of cardboard. Alarms went off everywhere, blaring about an unauthorized intrusion. Inside, he casually started strolling around, hunting for monsters to bash. That's when he bumped into a group of licensed heroes, the kind who actually had permission to be there. They assumed he was some clueless dude who'd wandered off and offered to escort him out since they were heading to the exit anyway. But Dojan kept quiet, giving off this weird, unsettling vibe. Even these seasoned heroes could tell something about him was off. He wasn't dressed like a hero, just some random dude in casual clothes, looking like he stumbled in from the nearest convenience store. Sure, porters these days dressed casually too, but this guy's outfit was way too plain and that bag on his back? Sketchy as hell. They figured maybe he was some poor porter who got ditched by the party he came with. But even then, something didn't add up. Finally, Dojan spoke up. He admitted straight out why they were feeling uneasy, but also made it crystal clear he wasn't with any hero party. He'd walked in here all on his own. One of the heroes let out a sigh, finally realizing what was going on. He'd seen plenty of idiots who got hyped up after watching some flashy TV shows, thinking they could become heroes overnight. People like that, they charged into dungeons head first, fueled by nothing but dumbass dreams and adrenaline. But reality wasn't that forgiving. He explained, in classic lecture mode, that you had to get certified, pass training, and jump through all sorts of hoops before you could even step foot into these places legally. And this wasn't some baby-level dungeon either. This was a damn C-rank gate. If you were a rookie, you'd better start with an F rank before you got your dumbass killed. But while this guy kept yapping, handing out life advice no one fucking asked for, Dojan just deadpanned and told them straight up he didn't need their crap. That shut them up real quick. Naturally, the heroes were left standing there, dumbfounded, completely thrown off by this random kid's ice-cold attitude. They were just trying to help, but this kid, he wasn't having it. A couple of them got pissed, ready to throw hands, but the leader told them to chill out. If the brat didn't want their help, then screw it. Let him be. He figured this cocky little bastard would learn the hard way soon enough. After all, these gates weren't some goddamn TV show where heroes walked in, saved the day, and strutted out like saints. Nah, this was real life, and it'd chew him up and spit him out before he even knew what hit him. Soon enough, Dojan finally runs into a giant-ass troll glaring at him like he's about to chow down on his bones. The monster swings hard, but misses so badly it smashes the ground instead. Bro moved so damn fast, the troll couldn't even process what the hell just happened. Without missing a beat, Dojan tightens his fist and slams a punch right in the beast's face, sending its entire head flying off like some wild-ass scene straight out of One Punch Man, or some Omni-Man Rampage. Yeah, that ugly bastard got erased in one hit. Now that the overgrown punching bag's down, here comes the fun part. It's loot time, baby. First, Dojan snatches up the sword that poor dumb troll was carrying. Then, like it's no big deal, he stabs the same sword right back into the troll's corpse, digging out a shiny little gemstone. Turns out, it's just a low-tier magic stone, so trashy that in his previous life, Dojan wouldn't have even looked at it twice. But hey, the dude's broke as hell right now. Beggars can't be choosers. Just then, more pissed-off monsters show up, clearly ready to throw hands after seeing their buddy get decapitated like that. Dojan doesn't even blink. He casually chucks that crappy gemstone like a baseball, bam, it smashes right through one of their thick skulls and sends their head flying off like a damn rocket. The other two dumbass charge at him like they've got a death wish or something. But guess what? Dojan's more than happy to grant it. While he's busy serving these idiots a full-course beatdown, the scene cuts back to the group of heroes still trudging through this monster-infested hellhole. They're all still thinking about that mysterious young dude they bumped into earlier. The orange-haired chick in the group is actually a bit worried, thinking Dojan might already be dead somewhere in this mess. But their team leader brushes it off, saying that's unlikely as hell. If he really was some random, unauthorized nut job sneaking into the gate, the control center agents would have already found him by now. Those agents on gate missions are always at least B rank or higher, and since this gate's just a C rank, there's no freaking way he's dying here. As long as he's not dumb enough to go charging at monsters head-on, he'll survive just fine. Even the baldy in their squad agrees, saying that Brad is probably shaking in his boots right now, hiding somewhere, praying those agents come to rescue his sorry ass. Yeah, well, reality's got other plans. Right now, it's Dojan who's making these overgrown meat bags shit their non-existent pants. One punch and they're down. They can't even touch him, let alone squash him. He's zipping around like a damn ghost, popping up right behind one of the idiots and delivering a kick so brutal it straight up explodes the guy's head like a watermelon. With all the morons wiped out, Dojan grabs another sword and casually starts harvesting more of those precious magic stones, all for himself. After stuffing his bag full of these low-grade gems, he's ready to bounce. Though honestly, he's a bit salty. This whole grind felt like hauling around a sack of worthless rocks. Right then, one of the control center agents finally spots him and quickly calls over his buddies. Before Dojan can even turn fully, these suit-wearing clowns are already giving him the good OL serious glare routine. They announce themselves as agents from the gate control center and demand to see his hero registration card. If he's unregistered, they politely, well, not really, tell him he'll need to come with them to the center. Dojan isn't too sure about this whole mess, and that hesitation just makes the suit-wearing pricks even more uptight. They start acting all cold and stiff, insisting he cooperate and follow the proper procedures. All they get in return is Dojan's deadpan face, looking like he's got zero patience left for their bullshit. Seriously, this whole drama is draining his soul. But our bro's not in the mood to argue. He simply turns around to walk away. That's when one of these cocky agents decides to get handsy. He grabs Dojan's wrist, threatening him with injuries if he resists, even warning that all responsibility would fall on Dojan if things got ugly. Basically, trying to guilt-trip him into compliance. Well, bad move. Dojan just snatches the guy's wrist back and gives him this bone-chilling warning. Stop acting like a thorn in my damn path. That one sentence is enough to make the poor bastard freeze on the spot, a cold sweat running down his spine. Of course, the other two morons don't get the memo and whip out their fancy magic batons. Grade 4 magic staffs, strong enough to knock out an orc. But, yeah, they don't pack enough punch to even scratch our guy. With zero fucks to give, Dojan twists the grabby bastard's arm until the dude's squealing like a little bitch. Then he gives them a final warning. Get lost now if you don't want to lose the last shred of dignity you've got left. But these duty-bound fools don't know when to quit. They try to take him down with those magic staffs, but it's hopeless. Dojan wrecks them effortlessly, landing a devastating punch right into the back of one dude, then slamming another straight in the gut. Finally, there's just one left, the guy with glasses, shaking like a leaf. He senses that shit's about to hit the fan. And then, poof, Dojan straight up vanishes from sight. The poor bastard panics, freaking out after literally watching a guy disappear into thin air. And right when he's losing his mind, Dojan appears out of nowhere and slams a fist straight into his stomach, making him double over in pain. Looks like Dojan's finally done with this never-ending circus of agents chasing him around. He even starts seriously thinking about registering as a hero, just to avoid future headaches like this. One of the agents, still gasping for breath, assures him that as long as he doesn't get involved in shady or illegal crap, no agents would come after him again. Dojan suddenly drops a question about something called a rift, and it completely throws the poor agent off his game. Quick rundown on how this crazy world works. There are a bunch of portals scattered all around, connecting to some freaky-ass alternate world where all sorts of monsters roam. These portals, or passages, are pretty much everywhere. People hunt down monsters inside, harvest the magic gemstones from their corpses, and boom, those gems are now the hottest energy source around. Naturally, these shiny little rocks are super valuable, which is why the government keeps a tight leash on every single portal. The government-run, hero-approved portals are called gates. But the ones that aren't locked down, the wild, no-rule zones? Yeah, those are called rifts. Back to our guy, Dojan, who's beyond pissed at these government goons tailing him nonstop. No matter which gate he strolls through, these suit-wearing clowns keep popping up, accusing him of trespassing like he's some petty criminal. The poor agent explains, sweating bullets, that the moment an unregistered hero steps into a gate without permission, the system snitches on them instantly, and nearby agents get deployed to deal with it on the spot. Since Dojan clearly has his eyes set on entering a rift, the agent desperately warns him that rifts aren't your usual walk in the park. Getting caught there? Oh boy. No warnings, no negotiations, just straight-up punishment. But Dojan? He couldn't care less about this guy's lecture. Without a word, he just grabs the poor bastard by the face and tosses him aside like a damn garbage bag. The agent instantly regrets not calling for backup. This crap's way beyond his paycheck. Lying there on the ground with his arm clearly busted, the agent keeps yelling empty threats, screaming about how he'll definitely get Dojan locked up. Scene shifts to the Seoul Gas and Digital Complex, smack in the Junction District. The place is now famously called the Hero Complex. This is where all the trading happens. Magic stones, monster loot, you name it. Business is booming like crazy these days. Here comes Dojan, strolling into one of the shops that deals in buying and selling these magic stones. He walks in, only to be greeted by this Gen Z punk, glued to his phone, scrolling through some brain-melting Instagram reels like a total clown. When Dojan mentions he's here to sell some magic stones, the shop owner immediately puts on a salesman mask, going off about how his store offers the best prices, claims they're the #1 shop in the whole world. Dojan doesn't even blink. He casually pulls out a pile of low-grade gems, still dripping with monster blood, and slaps them on the counter. The shop owner's face instantly twists like he just sat on a cactus. He's clearly grossed the hell out by all the blood caked on the stones. But hey, business is business. He holds back his whining and gets on with the transaction anyway. While the stones are being cleaned, he asks Dojan if he wants a cup of coffee. Cut to a bit later, Dojan's sitting there, sipping his coffee while watching the poor guy carefully scrub all the nasty blood off the stones. After cleaning them up, the guy finally tallies everything. 12 low-grade magic stones, 16 medium-grade ones, plus 5 upper and lower-grade stones. After slicing off a hefty 40% commission, the final payout for Dojan comes out to roughly 5.5 million won. And honestly, Dojan looks like he's about to explode. 40%? He's the one busting his ass out there, risking his neck to hunt these monsters. And this weasel thinks he deserves nearly half? What kind of clown show is this? But the shop owner, smug as hell, proudly explains that he's actually being generous. Most other shops take 45% or more. In fact, the bastard even has the nerve to tell Dojan to take his stones back if he doesn't like it. According to him, nobody else would offer a better deal anyway. Dojan's not buying that garbage. He starts packing his stones back into his bag, clearly done with this bullshit. Seeing his sweet-talking scam isn't working, the shop owner gets desperate. He grabs Dojan's hand, demanding payment for the appraisal and that cup of coffee. Yeah, now he's pulling the service fee card. He lists it off like a damn grocery bill. 30,000 won for appraisal, 10,000 won for the coffee, and oh, don't forget his fancy towel that got ruined while cleaning off the blood. Altogether, he's claiming Dojan owes him around 350,000 won, which is freaking absurd. But Dojan? He's not budging an inch. He just stares this crazy bastard down, completely unfazed by the nonsense. Seeing he's getting nowhere, The shop owner finally drops the fake politeness and goes full thug mode. He threatens Dojan, bragging about the C-class hero guards he's got on standby. Right on cue, these bulky muscleheads barge in from the back door, asking why they were called, ready to throw hands at the drop of a hat. Dojan, still cool as ice, glares at the bastard with a look sharp enough to cut glass. The bastard stares right back, neither of them backing down. Sometime later, the scene jumps to the shop manager. Yeah, that same loudmouth who was acting like he was the main character of the damn universe. But now, he's sweating bullets, looking like he just saw a ghost. Cause Dojan just wiped the floor with his 3 goons, those oversized meatheads, without even breaking a damn sweat. Reality check, buddy. Now everyone knows who the real main fucking character is here. Dojan strolls up to the counter, cool as hell, and casually talks the commission down to just 1%. No fuss, no fight. I mean, who the hell's gonna argue when a guy like Dojan is staring right into your soul like that? The deal closes smoothly, and my man Dojan walks out of there with a fat-ass stack of cash. Money here not with sweat, but with pure fists. Back at home, his grandma and little sister. They're both losing their minds over the insane pile of money. Grandma Pa even squints at the cash, thinking this cheeky bastard's probably passing off fake bills. But Dojan calmly waves it off, dropping the classic, "I just lent some cash to a friend who hit the jackpot with his business." Grandma isn't buying it, though. She's all like, "Since when do you even have friends?" Huh? Dojan, unfazed, doubles down on his lie, saying it was an old childhood buddy. Eventually, Grandma gives up grilling him, at least about the big questions. Meanwhile, Dojan's little sister is straight up glowing with pride, grinning ear to ear, cause her badass brother just made them rich overnight. Being the softy he is, Dojan pats her head and feeds her some dreamy talk about the luxury life waiting for them. The kid's literally bouncing around, high on the idea of being rich. Watching her dance around like that, Dojan suddenly feels that deep, heavy tug in his chest. He's actually making progress toward fulfilling that promise. He remembers it clearly, the final wish of the poor soul whose body he now occupies. For Grandma and his half-sister Yun to live safe, happy lives. That poor dude vanished before Dojan even got a word in. And the next thing he knew, he'd woken up inside Seo Dojan's body. From that moment on, this became his only mission, to protect this little family and make sure they live comfy as hell. And to make that happen, he's got his eyes on the safest house in all of Korea, which, by the way, costs a mind-melting 110 billion won. But money is not really a problem for him. As long as he gets his old powers back, he can rake it in easy. After all, this world isn't that different from the one he came from, the one that got wiped out. The monsters, gates, and rifts here, they're weak sauce compared to what he's faced before. To him, the legendary sword god of his previous world, this place feels like some kiddie's sandbox. Hell, he's been fighting at barely 1/10 of his real power. Suddenly, knock knock, someone's at the door, asking for Seo Dojan. Bro sighs, gets up, and answers it. And guess what? 2 sketchy-ass thugs are standing there, looking like they crawled out of a cheap gangster flick. They're here to collect a debt, 48 million won, to be exact. Dojan immediately clocks them as loan sharks, the same bastards the real Dojan borrowed from before he kicked the bucket. Funny thing is the original loan was just 5 million won, taken out for Grandma's hospital bills. But now, thanks to their blood-sucking interest rates, these greedy assholes are demanding 10 times the amount. They've been stalking him too, seeing he's been making cash off gates lately. It's all in their shady little contract. But instead of coughing up a single damn one, Dojan serves up a brutal fist sandwich right to the bigger guy's face. One punch, and the poor bastard's flying through the air like a rag doll, crashing down hard. His scrawny partner is just standing there with his jaw on the floor, probably pissing himself. Dojan shoots him a death glare sharp enough to slice steel and reminds him that, if we're doing math here, over 9 million won has already been paid. Honestly, these assholes should be paying him interest at this point. Then, without missing a beat, he lands another punch. This one has the skinny bastard bawling like a baby. Dojan leans in and tells him in the coldest tone, "Go tell your boss. I'm coming to kick his ass." The scene jumps straight into a lively, buzzing shopping mall, packed with people everywhere. And right there, we see our sweet little Yun absolutely glowing with excitement inside a teddy bear store. Dojan had brought her here for a full-blown shopping spree today. Yep, she was free to grab whatever her tiny heart desired. Funny thing is, our boy wasn't always such a softie. Back in his previous life, he wasn't the type to get all mushy over cute kids. But after inheriting the original Dojan's memories, something in him changed. His once cold, dried-up heart started to thaw. Seeing how warmly Dojan treated Yun-Young, who was just his half-sister, mind you, made him want to do the same. Now, he just wanted to spoil her rotten and pour all the love he could muster into this adorable little being. Eventually, Yun-Young picked out a stuffed toy she really liked, a small, fluffy bunny. She chose it pretty modestly, too, making sure not to seem greedy. But Dojan wasn't having any of that. He grabbed an even bigger stuffed toy for her, basically saying, "Stop holding back. It's your day, kiddo. Go wild." He didn't want her worrying about money or limits. Not even a bit. Later, the two treated themselves to some seriously good food. But right as they were enjoying their meal, an unfamiliar voice suddenly called out Dojan's name. And here she came, a middle-aged woman, waddling in with a squad of bodyguards behind her. This chubby MILF looked like your classic trash talker who just couldn't mind her damn business. She didn't waste a second before roasting Dojan's sense of fashion, basically calling him a walking fashion disaster. Then she shamelessly turned toward Yun-Young and threw a nasty jab, outright suggesting that Dojan probably knocked someone up and had this girl, just like his own mother had done with him. And that hit below the belt. Obviously, Dojan was fuming inside, but little Yun-Young had no clue what was going on or why this random lady was running her mouth like that. The woman then turned her full attention to Yun-Young and boldly asked her name. When Yun-Young sweetly introduced herself as Lee Yun-Young, it finally clicked for this trashy woman. She was Dojan's sister. Still, that didn't stop this hag from tossing more shade. She mocked Yun-Young's clothes too, calling her a mess. And yeah, this bitch even dragged their deceased mother through the mud. That was it. Dojan's blood was practically boiling, but strangely enough, he still kept his cool, not lashing out yet. Even this old hag looked kind of shocked that Dojan wasn't taking the bait. But nope, she wasn't done poking the bear yet. This fat piece of work took it even further. She actually had the audacity to ask a kid if she knew what harlot meant. That was the last damn straw. Dojan snapped and straight up called her an ugly-ass orc woman who looked like she came straight out of some filthy goblin tribe. The woman froze, completely stunned, her brain probably blue-screening from the unexpected roast. Here's the backstory, though. This wasn't just some random lady. Dojan had been tolerating her up to this point for a reason. You see, back in the day, Dojan was born an illegitimate child and lived in poverty. His mom died when he was just 7, and after barely making it to his father's place, things didn't exactly get better. His father's new wife and her kids treated him like garbage. The hellish life only got worse when his stepmom gave birth to a legitimate son. Dojan was ignored, forgotten, and eventually kicked out of the very house he once called home. He had to crash at his grandma's place with his half-sibling, and looking back now, Dojan felt nothing but pity for the original him. How he endured all that shit, but still tried to smile like nothing hurt. But now, this was where everything changed. Turns out, this orc-looking woman was a stepsister. That's why he'd been trying to hold himself back earlier. But enough was enough. He remembered clearly how he used to live under the same roof as this walking dumpster fire. And she was just as disgusting as ever. Her personality was rotten. Her looks were, well, orcish as hell. And to top it all off, she was dumb as a rock. Dojan didn't hold back. He verbally obliterated her, bluntly pointing out that her entire existence was just a sad mess fueled by her own insecurities. She called others ugly just to feel better about herself, projecting her miserable self-hatred onto everyone else. Deep down, she was nothing but a gold-digging parasite obsessed with other people's lives, and Dojan made sure the whole damn mall knew it. As he kept ripping into her with brutal burns, everyone in the mall watched them like it was a live reality show. The orc lady was losing her shit, fuming and shaking from the humiliation. Then her mother, Dojan's stepmother, showed up. Seeing her mom, the orc lady instantly ran over to her, whining like the bratty, pathetic little gremlin she was, complaining about how Dojan verbally demolished her. But to everyone's surprise, even the stepmom seemed disgusted by her daughter's whining. She shut her up with nothing but a cold-ass glare. Not gonna lie, Bro's stepmom had some serious Ice Queen energy. At first glance, you'd think she was the orc lady, but nope, this one had that polished, dangerous vibe. She then turned to Dojan, all smiles, greeting him politely like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. She even invited him back home, acting all sweet and friendly, suggesting they should hang out and have some fun family time. But Dojan wasn't buying that bullshit for a second. He knew damn well this woman was the main reason his childhood was a living nightmare. For 12 long years, she was the one behind all the suffering, always hiding her cruelty under a fake, angelic smile. Her words kept twisting the knife, dragging up old memories he desperately wanted to forget. It was triggering as hell. His face turned ice cold, colder than your mom's worst comebacks. And in a voice sharp enough to cut steel, he told her flat out, "Get the fuck lost." That line hit harder than a truck. It was a slap straight to her dignity, being cursed out by the very kid she used to torment. The woman, visibly shaken, could only spin around and storm off with the last shreds of her pride. She honestly didn't expect him to clap back like that, not after years of watching him lower his head and stay quiet, even when she used to slap him for no damn reason. Her bratty daughter followed, right behind, tail between her legs, with their bodyguards trailing after them. Honestly, though, those guards, they were basically living, breathing mannequins during this whole mess, just standing and watching their bosses get roasted alive. All right, let's shift the camera back to our boy. Looks like those two drama queens just crashed the whole damn mood he was having. So, without wasting another second, he decides to bounce too. But here's the reason for his cold-ass reaction toward his stepfamily. He wanted to send a message loud and clear. The old Seo Dojan, that poor pushover who couldn't even open his damn mouth to defend himself. It's high time his garbage excuse of a family gets that through their thick skulls. We cut to a sleek Mercedes tearing down the road. Inside is the classic trashy duo, Mommy Dearest and her spoiled brat of a daughter. The daughter's losing her damn mind, throwing a tantrum because her mom just walked away quietly instead of putting Dojan in his place. She's fuming, cussing Dojan out for humiliating them in front of everyone, while the mom calmly orders her driver, good ol' Baldy, to explain why the hell Dojan is still breathing. Baldy's sitting there, sweating bullets, clueless as hell, because none of this matches the reports. The dude's panicking inside, but Mommy Monster ain't having it. She starts screaming her lungs out, cursing at the top of her voice, calling out all the bullshit they've been fed. Like, how the fuck is Dojan live when they made damn sure the job was done? Poor Baldy stammers out a promise. He'll check again, double down, and this time he'll handle it for real. Meanwhile, the trash daughter's sitting there, wide-eyed, absolutely shook because she had no clue her sweet old mommy had been plotting a straight-up murder behind the scenes. She's rattled as hell, hearing all this talk about killing and dying like it's some casual dinner convo. Then, out of nowhere, Mommy hits her with a sharp-ass question, asking if she's got some feelings for Dojan. And that hits her like a truck. The fat piglet gets all flustered, face turning red, stumbling over her words. Turns out, it ain't about love. She's just scared shitless. She's worried that if Grandpa or Daddy finds out about this whole mess, they're all going down hard. But Mommy doesn't give a flying fuck. She grabs her daughter's mouth, hard, forcing her to shut the hell up and warns her, crystal clear, to stay the hell out of her business. She's fully locked in on one goal, taking out Dojan. Especially not after the way he dared to talk back to her in public. In her mind, killing him is the ultimate revenge. And she's damn sure about it. About 10 years ago, the whole damn world flipped upside down. It all started with the arrival of the Rift. This creepy, nightmare-fueled dimension that decided to screw over humanity big time. Monsters started pouring out of these portals like it was some kind of all-you-can-eat buffet. Their sole mission was simple: slaughter every human they laid eyes on. And it didn't stop there. Those freaks kept coming non-stop, burning down cities, leaving nothing but ashes and screams behind. The whole damn planet turned into a flaming disaster. But just like every dark story needs a hero, humanity wasn't going down without a fight. Soon enough, brave badasses known as heroes popped up. With them came the first discovery of mana stones, fancy little rocks pulled from the corpses of those ugly-ass monsters. Now back to the present. Dojan is on the move, casually walking somewhere while thinking about how mana stones flipped the whole energy game. These shiny stones quickly became the new gold rush, replacing every old-school energy source out there. Every damn country started obsessing over these rifts, fighting tooth and nail to get their hands on the resources inside. Nowadays, the whole world basically spins around the rift system. Everything, industries, energy, even survival, is locked into these gates, and the people are crazy enough to dive into them. And being a hero now isn't just about glory. It's about fat paychecks too. If you want that steady flow of cash, you better suit up and start slaying. Anyway, Dojan finally reaches his destination. It's none other than the Yongdongpo HCS Capital Establishment. Yeah, I know, that name sounds like some corporate hellhole, but trust me, you'll soon get why he's here. The moment he steps inside, the place looks straight out of a low-budget gangster flick. The boss and his squad of greasy goons are sitting there, looking like they're trying to scare people with their mugshot-worthy faces. But Dojan? Nah, he's cool as ice, not bothered one bit. The boss stubs out his cigarette, glaring at Dojan, and basically calls him out for having the balls to not only beat up his men, but also casually show his face at their doorstep. Man, this dude really doesn't know that Dojan gives zero shits about their little tough guy act. With a sly grin, Dojan flips the script and tells the boss that, honestly, it's him who's at a real loss here. That leaves the boss scratching his head, looking dumbfounded as he asks what the hell Dojan means by that. Then Dojan lays it down straight. He's here to collect what's rightfully his. After everything he's been through, mental trauma, physical beatdowns, and property damage courtesy of these clowns, he's come to settle the score and get his compensation. Hearing this, the boss finally notices something different about Dojan. This isn't the same soft-spoken, mild-mannered guy they knew before. Nope, something about him feels sharp, deadly even. And it's not just the attitude shift. The fact that he obliterated those goons earlier speaks volumes. The boss can't help but suspect that Seo Dojan has undergone some crazy awakening inside one of the rifts. Still, despite figuring that out, the boss decides to act like a smug asshole like he is. He mocks Dojan, saying that all this newfound confidence from his awakening will just lead to his downfall. What a joke. Then, in classic bad guy fashion, he waves his hand and calls in a bunch of pissed-off muscle heads to try and scare Dojan. Sure, they've got the muscles, but honestly, to someone like Dojan, who's walked through hell and back, they're nothing but bugs under his shoe. The boss keeps yapping, claiming even awakened folks like Dojan eventually get killed off, reduced to corpses like all those trash-tier heroes. The funniest part is this dumbass actually believes that Seo Dojan is nothing more than some weak-ass D-rank hero, someone his organization can squash without even breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, Dojan is just straight up chilling on the sofa in the back like it's his living room, while 5 dudes are glaring daggers at him, dead serious, without even a hint of humor. But Dojan? He's cool as ice. He casually tells the boss to sit his ass back down. The boss is left blinking in shock, baffled that this guy is still talking to him with the same cocky-ass tone like nothing happened. Dojan just stares him down with a dead serious face and says, "I ain't done talking yet." Hearing that, one of the guys suddenly decides it's time to grow a pair and steps up to challenge him. Oh boy. Dojan, amused as hell, calmly takes off his glasses, adding to their confusion, and then he delivers a Mike Tyson ballistic universal machine gun rocket fucking punch 9,000 straight to the poor bastard's face. The guy goes flying like he just got yeeted by God himself, crashing into the wall while his buddies stand there, completely speechless. But oh no, the ass-whooping isn't done yet. Dojan shares the love with the whole squad, smacking down another dude with zero effort. And get this, while he's busy turning their faces into pancakes, he's also calmly lecturing them. Yep, mid-beat down, he's casually exposing the boss's shady-ass operation hiding behind a so-called money-lending business. He even swings a fist at some orange-haired punk, spilling the tea about their counterfeit ID racket mid-punch, like it's some casual small talk. After laying that punch, Dojan smoothly tells the boss that he's looking for a legit hero ID to officially register and cash in. When the last guy tries to land a hit, Dojan ducks like a pro and returns the favor with triple the love. And just like that, he puts every single one of them to sleep with his special bedtime combo, 100% guaranteed knockout. After dusting them off, Dojan lays down his demands. He needs an airtight fake ID that won't screw him over later. The boss just sits there, stunned as hell, still processing how his entire squad got wrecked in less than a minute. Dojan politely reminds him that he's only got one day to cook up that ID. Also, props to those side dudes who didn't jump in during the brawl. They've got better self-preservation instincts than most NPCs who'd usually try to fight God at level 1 in these stories. The boss, meanwhile, is having a full-on existential crisis, sweating bullets while trying to guess just how strong this kid really is. At minimum, he's thinking Dojan's got to be B-class or something. He's so lost in thought that Dojan actually has to nudge him back to reality, snapping him out of it. The boss awkwardly agrees to the job. But just as he breathes out in relief, Dojan gently grabs his shoulder, with the nicest smile paired with the most murderous glare you've ever seen, and asks if Hong Hee-ju, his stepmother, ordered a hit on him. And yep, turns out that's exactly the case, confirmed by her shady-ass convo earlier with her daughter and assistant. The boss freezes, speechless, until Dojan tightens his grip hard enough to make the guy yelp in pain. His poor lackeys just stand there, helpless as their boss squeals like a kicked puppy. Honestly, they should fire their barbers too while they're at it. Eventually, the boss cracks under pressure and spills everything. Turns out, that wicked woman wasn't just scheming. She was trying to financially bleed Dojan dry so badly that he'd be left with no choice but to end his own life just to escape it. Yeah, that's some evil shit, pure diabolical, especially coming from your own damn stepmom. Dojan listens to the whole thing, then finally lets go of the trembling boss after enough begging and whining. He coldly asks if that's also why they locked him inside the gate. The boss immediately shifts to full-on innocent baby mode, insisting he had nothing to do with that mess, even admitting he wouldn't have gotten paid if Dojan had died inside the gate. Honestly, that sounds like a pretty valid reason for him to stay out of it, and Dojan starts piecing things together. Then, Dojan mutters the name Kong Cheol-woo, the same bastard who dragged him into the gate to begin with. He firmly demands every scrap of info they've got on that guy, by tomorrow. With both demands made crystal clear, Dojan leaves the room, completely flipping the mood from when he first walked in. After everything's said and done, Dojan finds himself in deep thought once again. The real Seo Dojan had only ever wanted one thing. He just wanted to protect his little sister and his beloved grandma, no matter what. And with everything that's been thrown at him, it only adds more weight to the misery he's had to carry alone all this time. But now the sword god ain't backing down. He's ready to raise hell and set the damn record straight. The next day, our boy finally gets officially registered, and he's rank B-, which is actually pretty convenient for once. Unlike those typical stories where the protagonist starts off with the lowest rank just for dramatic flair, he's already a bit ahead. He taps his card on the scanner to prove it's legit, and the system recognizes his identity right away. But it also throws a warning. His rank is too low for the risky quest he's planning to take on. That honestly annoys him. He wonders if maybe he should have pissed someone off just enough to get bumped up a rank, so he wouldn't have to deal with this hassle. But even though the system keeps repeating the warning not to enter a gate way above his level, Dojan couldn't care less. He goes right in anyway. Now let's break down this Night Island gate. Technically, it's a B-rank gate, but that doesn't mean a B-rank hunter can handle it. In fact, heroes are usually advised to be at least one rank higher than the gate itself for safety. The dungeon is classified as D-rank in scale, meaning it's wide and spread out. Bad news for solo hunters. Luckily, it's a tunnel-type dungeon, which makes solo hunting somewhat more manageable for him. Still, due to the size and scale, it's highly recommended for an A-rank hero. But risk and danger? Those words aren't even in Dojan's vocabulary. Worst-case scenario, he'll just have to fight off a whole damn army of monsters in tight, claustrophobic tunnels. He's all smiles as he meets his first enemy, a giant serpent oozing with a wild purple aura. For most, this would be terrifying, but for Dojan, it's like a lucky charm. He gets his gauntlets ready for the fight. Oh, and fun fact, that serpent brought friends. Their tongues look like they came straight out of an alien horror flick. They try their best to attack, but it's useless. Dojan's a damn killing machine, ripping through them and scooping up mana stones like those monsters never even existed. These beasts, called black killing vipers, are known for their crazy strong paralysis poison. One touch can knock out even the toughest hunters. Keeping that in mind, Dojan launches himself like a bullet and goes all out, slashing and tearing up the creature until he cuts it clean in half, blood flying everywhere. After the kill, he checks his gear. Good news, the gloves he bought for 300,000 won are doing their job, keeping the poison off him. Back to the hunt. He now targets 4 more of those nasty, legless freaks and blasts through their skulls with ridiculous speed. Blood splatters all over as he sends the vipers straight to monster hell. Once the fight's over, Dojan starts digging through their flesh, searching for mana stones. But nothing. Not a single one. Still, he expected that. In his original world system, these monsters only have a 3% drop rate for mana stones. So if he wants any real loot, he'll need to wipe out hundreds more of these things. As Dojan continues walking, he comes across a creature he jokingly calls Mr. Bonehead. You'd probably assume it's the boss monster, but Dojan has his doubts. He sarcastically asks the giant serpent if it's the boss, as if the snake's going to casually respond like a buddy. Still, he sees the appearance of this massive beast as a good sign. It means he won't have to wander around aimlessly anymore. Without wasting time, he launches into a sudden attack, hoping to end the fight quickly and head home. But then things take a turn. Even though he lands a solid, heavy punch, it does absolutely nothing to the creature. All he ends up doing is giving it what looks like a tattoo on its head. While he's still airborne and unable to dodge, the creature whips him into a wall with its tail. Dojan crashes hard, and that hit probably served as a wake-up call about how powerful this supposed boss really is. The beast then bares its poisonous fangs and hisses at him, pretty much like a hungry girlfriend and lunges in a bite. Thankfully, Dojan narrowly dodges using the momentum from his evasive move and immediately counters with a powerful punch. This one actually connects, leaving visible cracks on the creature's thick shell. From that moment, he realizes something important. The boss monster's exterior is ridiculously tough, way more so than the other vipers he took down earlier. At his current level, he can't break through it in just one blow. Now the tide of the battle has shifted, and he's forced to rethink his approach. If he were at his original power, the sword god version of himself would have wiped the floor with this thing. But right now, things are different. Then he spots something, the sword of a fallen warrior who had fought this same monster. And now, here's where you'll see why he's called the sword god instead of the fist god. Even though the blade is heavily worn and damaged, Dojan picks it up with confidence, believing that a weapon is only as strong as the one wielding it. With that mindset and the broken blade in hand, he steps up to face the monstrous snake. The creature charges at him again with insane speed. Dojan shoots into the air and boldly declares that the beast should feel honored, because he's about to go all out with the sword, despite the weapon being in terrible shape. In just a few flashing moves, he unleashes a rapid series of slashes that utterly tear the snake apart. The intense battle wraps up on a surprisingly comedic note. The snake dies dramatically in the background, while Dojan's sword disintegrates into dust. But he's not done yet. Thinking cleverly, something most protagonists don't usually do, he breaks off one of the snake's fangs, believing it might be a great material for crafting a short sword with some refining. Considering it a reward for everything he went through, he finally exits the gate. By the time he steps outside, night has already fallen and stars fill the sky. He realizes he spent much more time inside that B-rank gate than expected. Still, the entire ordeal reignited his motivation to fully recover his strength. And honestly, he's just relieved his old friends didn't witness him in this weakened state, because that would have been seriously embarrassing. Fresh off his hunt, Dojan swings by to get his magic stones appraised and sold. But before it's his turn, there's another hero already at the counter, proudly showing off his stash of loot. And right on cue, the penny-pinching receptionist treats him like trash, real scumbag energy, and smugly drops the bomb that their commission rate is a whopping 40%. Even this cheerful, innocent-looking hero isn't buying that BS. He straight up calls it out, saying he's just a regular dude trying to earn a living. But just like he did with Dojan, the slimeball appraiser starts spinning his usual crap, claiming their rate is actually the lowest in the biz. Sure, the gate center charge is 5%, but here comes the fine print. It's before taxes. What a joke. From this snake's perspective, it's a killer deal for hunters. Good cash, minimal fuss. He hands the money to the hero, who doesn't raise too much hell about it, though he does ask what the hell happened to the guy's fucked up face. The hilarious part is the receptionist is still clinging to his damn script, even with his face looking like it got stomped by a rhino. He plays it cool, saying a lunatic wiped the floor with his guards, then left him like this. The hero kind of blames the whole thing on the receptionist for keeping low-tier guards at a C-rank gig. I mean, let's be real, rank isn't everything. Skill matters just as much. Rank's just a label the system slaps on people to keep the paperwork in order. The hero even drops some real wisdom. Two people with the same rank can be leagues apart in actual power. And it's not like some bored-ass watchman who naps all day guarding a shop compares to a guy who's out there cracking skulls and slaying beasts for a living. But even with all that solid advice being handed out, the appraiser's only thought is, God, shut up and get out already. And the hero gets the hint, leaving with a friendly, hit me up if you ever need something. As he walks off, Dojan strolls right past him, cold as ever. The receptionist instantly flinches like he just saw a ghost and yells out that this is the psycho who wrecked his face. The hero turns around, low-key impressed. He clocks Dojan's lean build for his height, but still, he's thinking, did this guy really trash the guards here solo? Dude starts getting fired up, asking if Dojan's the maniac causing all the trouble. But the thing I like about this guy is that he's not a drama queen. He genuinely thinks Dojan's abusing his hero powers by going around bullying civilians. Of course, he doesn't know the full story, just one side of it. But hey, at least he's got a moral compass. Meanwhile, the receptionist is loving the chaos. He knows this veteran hero's been in the game for 7 years, and if things go sideways, this guy's got enough connections to throw Dojan under the bus in 10 different departments. No one would even ask questions. But Dojan? Cool as ice. He turns and tells the boomer to piss off. That little jab pisses the guy off even more. Now it really looks like Dojan's just being a dick. Dojan asks if he's here to settle some score or what. That pokes the bear. The hero gets provoked, but he's not an idiot. He knows brawling with another hero is basically playing Russian roulette. The death rate in hero-on-hero fights is even higher than against monsters. So with that in mind, the guy chills the hell out, shrugs, and walks away, leaving the receptionist stunned and speechless. Dojan turns to the sleazy appraiser and casually asks if he's got a problem he wants to bring up. Before the guy can stutter out a reply, Dojan throws a fat bag of shiny, high-grade magic stones on the counter. Absolute top-tier loot. It even makes the sleazeball wonder, who the hell is this guy? He does the math, and holy hell, it totals up to 150 million won. Sounds like a fortune, but to Dojan, chump change for a day's work. He asks for the cash, but of course Mr. Scam Artist reminds him they've got to apply the commission first. That earns him a death glare, until Dojan remembers their rate is only 1% thanks to their little deal. He cools off and tells the guy to just hand over the rest. Meanwhile, in Scammy McAppraiser's head, he's fantasizing about decking Dojan across the face, like full anime-style beatdown, but obviously, that's staying in dreamland. In reality, the guy says they'll need upper management's approval for that much money. Dojan, not in the mood for corporate delays, tells him to get that approval now. The guy nervously calls his boss, whispering the details like he's trying to hide a dirty secret. But before he can wrap things up, Dojan snatches the phone, skips the pleasantries, and tells the boss straight up to hurry up with the payment. The boss is surprisingly chill about it, says, okay, just give the phone back. Dojan's like, sure thing, then accidentally on purpose smashes the phone against the wall. The receptionist is standing there like he just watched someone murder his dog, staring at the shattered phone in horror. Dojan doesn't even blink. He just calmly tells him to prep the money now that everything's sorted. And so, our scammy friend is forced to pack up multiple fat bags of cold, hard cash. By the end of it, the guy looks like life kicked him in the teeth. But hey, before you feel sorry for him, remember, this is the same dude who's been robbing heroes of nearly half their earnings while they're out there risking their necks. He's not the victim, he's the scumbag. 10 minutes later, the boss stormed into his store, pissed off and fuming because his employee still wasn't answering the damn phone. But the real kicker? The receptionist had already pieced out. Dude had clearly had enough and just straight up quit on the spot like, nope, I'm out of here. The boss's eyes then landed on the guy's phone, which was shattered and embedded in the wall, like someone had rage pitched it there. That told him all he needed to know. Not wasting any time, the boss whipped out his phone and called Julian, telling her to get her over immediately. Now Julian wasn't just anyone. She was a total head-turner, rocking this badass outfit and flaunting purplish-pink hair like some anime goddess walking straight off a magazine cover. The moment she showed up, people around her started losing their minds, screaming her name like fans at a concert. Hyun Julian, girl was getting the full celebrity treatment. And let's be real, she looked cool as hell doing it. When she walked in the store, the receptionist damn near passed out from how dazzling she looked. She flashed him a friendly smile and greeted him like a total pro. But she wasn't just here to look pretty. There was a damn good reason why the whole city went nuts over her. She was the country's 4th-ranked S-class hero. That's right, top-tier, big-league stuff. Rumors have been flying around for a while that she might be the boss's niece, but folks never knew for sure. Until now. Because Jian herself confirmed it. She said she'd shown up because her uncle, the boss, had called her in to deal with some out-of-control, hot-headed hero causing trouble. Curious about the whole mess, the stylish S-ranker sat down, ready to hear the full scoop on what kind of crap's out she just walked into. In the following scene, our guy is seen meditating under the sun, his chiseled body on full display. He had spent the entire day hunting, but the results were far from satisfying. With how things were going, he couldn't help but feel anxious about what lay ahead. His top priority now was reaching a level strong enough to clear S-rank gates by himself. That meant he needed to rebuild his former strength. And yep, it's officially training art time. But the biggest hurdle in this life? Unlike his previous world, the mana density here is painfully low. Even if he poured in his best efforts, at this rate, it would take a minimum of 3 years just to get close to his original power, maybe longer if complications arise. Sure, upgrading his gear could help, but even the worst equipment costs hundreds of millions, and wasting money like that isn't an option. Suddenly, a cold shiver runs down his spine. He picks up on a dangerous presence and instantly zeroes in on Eun-young. Without wasting a second, he grabs the little girl and rushes everyone inside. Once in, he seals the room shut as his grandma, clearly concerned, begins bombarding him with questions. A loud quake rocks the entire house, startling her as she nervously asks if it's an earthquake. Little Eun-young is panicking, but Dojan knows the terrifying truth. This isn't just any quake. The energy outside is fierce and violent. A rift has ripped open right above their house, tearing straight into their world. Knowing the threat, he tells his family to stay inside. It's way too dangerous for them. Then, without hesitation, he charges toward the rift's entrance. The last thing he hears before disappearing inside are the desperate cries of his grandma and sister calling out his name. The scene shifts to the Seoul Hero Association, where everyone is instantly put on high alert due to the sudden appearance of a rift above the Mapo region. It has been 63 days since the last rift emerged, and noticing that the White Line Guild is closest to the location, the manager instructs his team to contact the guild immediately and inform nearby heroes to respond and manage the situation. Upon closer examination, they realize that the rift has appeared directly over a residential home, which makes the situation even more delicate. If, by chance, a civilian enters the rift, it's almost certain they'll die. Even worse, once someone enters, no one else can go in, and if the person inside dies, it will trigger a monster wave 10 days later, unleashing chaos and destruction throughout the region. The wave would become so overwhelming that the safety of the entire city of Seoul would be at serious risk. The manager then wonders who exactly entered the rift and soon learns that it's Seo Dojan, the homeowner himself. According to his grandmother, he entered the rift to protect his family. From this, the staff assumes that he isn't a registered hero, which makes things worse, because a regular civilian surviving inside a rift is nearly impossible. This realization leaves the entire team feeling helpless and full of despair, knowing there's nothing more they can do. In the next scene, we see Dojan's furious stepmother, enraged after hearing about his recent awakening. She's in disbelief. Her assistant informs her that although he hasn't officially registered with the Hero Association, they've confirmed that he has awakened powers from his last gate experience. This infuriates her even more, because Kang Cheol-woo was supposed to eliminate him, but instead, it only made Dojan stronger. Losing her temper, she slams her fist on the table, shouting about why they couldn't just kill him properly. On top of that, the fact they accepted payment and still failed only adds to her frustration. She yells at Manager Lee and sends a furious message to Kang Cheol-woo, warning him that if he doesn't kill Dojan himself, he'll owe her 10 times the amount they were paid. But unexpectedly, her assistant brings up a new development. There may be no need to contact Kang Cheol-woo at all. He reveals the news about the newly discovered rift that appeared right above Dojan's home. With confirmation that he entered the rift, it's practically guaranteed that he won't come out alive. Hearing this, Hong Hee-ju is thrilled by the implication and finally calms down, even managing to appear composed. She then instructs her assistant to continue monitoring the situation until they receive further updates. Meanwhile, our boy has just stepped into the domain of the rift, a forest to be exact. It's not just any forest, but the very same one he used to enjoy during his youth. This is the forest of Patiswa, perfectly reconstructed down to the tiniest detail, just the way he remembers it. Even the dense mana in the air feels exactly the same. As he walks along the familiar path, a smile forms on his face when he sees the majestic world tree once again. This tree radiates pure mana. It's a divine structure and the very foundation of the world's balance. In fact, back when the old world collapsed, it all began with this tree being burned to ash, which disrupted the natural mana flow permanently. But here in this rift dimension, the tree remains unharmed, exactly how he remembers it. He doesn't know why that is, but one thing is clear. He now has a shot at regaining his lost mana by absorbing it from this tree. Settling beneath the incredible stream of energy, he meditates, and bit by bit, his strength becomes more stable. He ends up staying in that position for over 3 days, completely immersed. No food, no water, ignoring all physical needs. Time flies. 10 full days pass, and his entire focus is on synchronizing his breath with the mana around him. But on the 10th night, trouble finds him. A group of alien-like beings known as the Volkina show up, ready to burn down the world tree, just like they did in the past. But this time, he's here to stop it. As they charge at him, Dojan wishes he had a sword with water-based powers to deal with them easily. The flaming monsters roar and rush toward him, but now, he's overflowing with so much mana, he doesn't need a weapon. He is the weapon. And those hands? Absolutely rated E for everyone. He raises his hand, and with sheer mana pressure, slams one of the creatures to the ground. Another one is left stunned. What he just used is called mana release, not telekinesis, but a blaster-style attack that unleashes raw mana like a detonation. It's been a long time since he used this move, mostly because he'd been low on energy until now. But the Volkina aren't done. They counter by firing concentrated energy beams from their mouths. As the lasers rush toward him, he stays completely calm. His mana alone is enough to shield him from any damage. Ignited with a fresh burst of energy, he moves toward them and quietly acknowledges that the world tree is now safe. Time to have some fun. 2 of the creatures try launching another attack, but he grabs their faces and forces their mouths shut. Their attacks backfire, exploding inside and blowing their heads off. Their flaming corpses collapse, leaving behind 2 valuable magic stones. But that's just the start. Dojan is having the time of his life, especially after unlocking a new power called the Eternal Ember. With a grin, he tears through more enemies, slicing and smashing his way through, collecting mana stones like they're going out of style. The massacre is completely one-sided, and by the time it's over, he's swimming in loot. Among the drops, he finds something special, a glowing golden object that looks like a coin or seed. This is the eternal ember. As he picks it up, he regains a portion of his strength. Crushing the item in his palm, he unleashes its power. The casual way he plays with the ember is reminiscent of Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. Normally, the best strategy would be to stay under the world tree and keep absorbing mana. But his body has already hit its limit for external mana intake through that method. The alternative? Absorbing the ember directly. This transforms his mana into fire-based energy, and he does exactly that. His body starts radiating with fiery power. In his past life, he never saw the need to do this. He completely ignored the eternal ember. But this time it's essential. Each ember takes around 10 minutes to absorb fully. Luckily for him, he's got a nice collection ready. Now his new goal is to absorb as many of them as possible. The sudden appearance of the rift has caught major public attention. Reporters are swarming outside Dojan's house, while agents and association staff are on-site guarding the area. Bang Xianggu is furious, mainly because someone recklessly entered the rift without proper clearance. And funnily enough, the guy kind of resembles a cleaner-cut version of Yin Ho from Solo Leveling. Honestly, it feels like we found a blue-haired Sung Jin-woo. His name in this world? Kim Hyun-woo. Unlike Xianggu, Hyun-woo actually understands why Dojan went in. He did it to save his sister. But Xianggu doesn't accept that as an excuse. He calls out Dojan for being reckless, saying it was a selfish move that could have triggered a disaster. If he had just taken his own life normally, that would have been one thing, but dying inside the rift? That would make it a monster hotspot, unleashing chaos. Hyun-woo asks Gilma for his opinion, and apparently, Gilma's orders are to just stick to protocol. But Hyun-woo isn't done questioning things. He brings up how rifts have started showing up globally, in the US, China, Switzerland, Turkey, and the UK. This sudden surge is why Gilma is having a hard time keeping up. It's not something that happens often, and while other countries are handling it with relative ease, South Korea's situation could turn into a full-blown catastrophe because of one guy. Xianggu's so mad, he wants to drag Dojan out himself and punch him in the face. As for the massive Purple Gate, 28 days have passed since it first showed up. That's also how long Dojan has been trapped inside. Now the Hero Association is officially labeling it a Level 1 wave threat. For privacy, Dojan's identity hasn't been made public. They're just calling him Ordinary Person S. While the rest of the world remains clueless about who he is, someone does manage to put the pieces together. The boss of a shady money-lending group. His assistant confirms the intel about Dojan, and Kim Ying-gu, who works directly under the boss Huang Chong, starts showing interest too. Chong Seob, another figure in the organization, becomes curious about Dojan's chances of survival. Yes, Q the One Piece is real meme. Anyway, the assistant says that the odds of an ordinary civilian surviving in the rift are less than 1%. But the idea of Dojan being seen as just a regular guy makes Chong Seob smirk, because that same ordinary person once beat up his men so badly they were covered in bandages for weeks. Clearly, the world is underestimating him. Chong Seob also wants to know the survival odds of an awakened individual. The assistant says it depends on the hero's level. It's hard to judge without exact data. Even Chong Seob agrees that surviving in a rift isn't just about fighting skill. It's a whole different level of danger. Still, one thing is clear. Dojan hasn't changed a bit. And while Chong Seob talks about protecting Dojan's family, it's far from noble. His real plan? If Dojan dies, he wants to harvest and sell the organs of his loved ones. And even if Dojan survives, he still plans to slap a huge debt on him under the pretense of taking care of things. In short, this guy is the definition of a parasite. The scene shifts to the enchanting world tree, where our boy is deep into his intense training arc. His body now hums with flame mana, and he's been at it for so long, he's lost track of time. He's been absorbing hundreds of fire stones, and thanks to that, he's now able to control fire mana freely, shaping and using it however he wants. On top of that, his resistance to flames has significantly improved. When he compares his current fire attribute skills to his past self, he realizes that he's made noticeable progress and surpassed his previous limits in this area. While embracing the world tree, he shares a quiet, emotional moment with it. The tree has always helped him during critical times, both in the past and now, and he feels genuinely grateful. To store the mana stones he's gathered, he even crafted a small pouch from vines. With the collection complete, he understands that this might be the last time he sees the divine tree. But even so, he hopes they'll cross paths again someday, especially if the tree is ever in danger. If that time comes, he's determined to protect it, no matter what. Now, if you ask me, this entire moment felt beautifully peaceful. Later that night, Dojan finally steps out of the rift, fully intact. Strangely enough, there's no one around. He guesses people might have assumed he died inside, and that a monster wave would burst out any minute. But then, he senses a powerful presence nearby. Curious, he decides to follow it. Soon, he comes across two familiar faces, Hyun-woo and Seung-gu. One visibly irritated, the other calm. Just by looking at their uniforms, he realizes they're likely from the association, which spells trouble if he gets caught. So, thinking fast, he hurls a fireball into the air. It shoots across a building and explodes loudly. That blast immediately puts both agents on alert, especially when they realize it's fire-related, prompting them to investigate. When they arrive at the scene, they're met with a crowd of shocked onlookers. Seung-gu demands to know what's happening amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, Dojan watches, feeling impressed by the accuracy and control of his flames. He wonders if his old friend, Tusk, the strongest fire mage on the continent, will be proud of how far he's come, since they once shared a strong connection. Just then, Hyun-woo's sharp instincts pick up something strange. The rift is behaving oddly. And right before their eyes, it vanishes into thin air. Both agents dash to the location, shocked to find that the rift's link to their world is completely gone. As for Dojan, he quietly slips away to his next destination without any issues. The next morning, news spreads about the rift that had persisted in Mapo for an entire month. It's officially reported that the rift vanished exactly 29 days after Seo Dojan entered, disproving the Hero Association's fears of a monster wave. They're left clueless about why the rift disappeared and are still investigating what went down. There's also confusion surrounding the sudden fire that broke out in the junkyard near the rift's disappearance. Because of all this, many now believe Seo Dojan is dead, thinking everything was just a result of his own actions. But in reality, he's alive and quietly observing from the sidelines, listening to the mixed reactions from the public. Some mourn his supposed death, feeling sympathy. But for Dojan, the rift closing is a painful blow. It means he can no longer reach the world tree. Still, he knows there's something else out there worth protecting. And with that resolve, we're brought right back to the HCS capital. Inside the room, those idiots were celebrating Dojan's death, acting like they'd easily handle the old granny and his sister next. Typical of Chang Seob, he was the kind of guy who squeezed people dry without blinking. One of the scumbags was already talking about letting the little sister grow up so they could exploit her in other ways. While they ran their mouths freely, not bothering to filter a single word, a familiar voice suddenly cut in, asking for their boss. The scene shifted immediately. Elsewhere, Chang Seob was humming to himself, going about his day like he had nothing to worry about, fully convinced Dojan was out of the picture for good. His assistant was reviewing his schedule, which was mostly clear except for a lunch meeting with another CEO. That news cheered him up. He was already dreaming about hitting the club under Madame Kong that night. Everything felt like idle chatter until he walked into the building. As he climbed the stairs, he was met with a horrifying sight. His men were being thrown around like rag dolls, blood splattered everywhere. And, standing at the center of it all, was the very man he thought was dead. Dojan slammed him to the ground and coldly ordered him to crawl like a dog. The power shift was brutal. Chang Seob, the company president, was left trembling, while Dojan took his rightful place in the boss's chair. Without skipping a beat, he repeated the command, and even though Chang Seob was still trying to process the humiliation, he had no choice but to crawl on all fours. Dojan then told him to bark, loud and clear. And when the pathetic bark finally came out, Dojan wasn't done. He made him bark again and again, turning him into less than human, just like how Chang Seob had treated others. He pointed out how scum like him only acted loyal on the surface and stabbed you the moment your back was turned. And then, with a chilling tone, he reminded Chang Seob that he had dealt with plenty of worthless humans like him in the past. Even when Chang Seob pleaded and swore his loyalty, Dojan had enough. A brutal slap followed, so strong it made him cough up blood. Turning to the assistant, Dojan handed him a promotion, calling him the new boss of the company, and advised him to stop following a scumbag like Chang Seob. Then came the real test. He ordered the assistant to kill Chang Seob and clean up the mess. But the assistant, though loyal, hesitated. He knew the old boss had connections and feared that promoting him over Chang Seob would backfire badly. He begged Dojan to spare him, just this once. But Dojan wasn't interested in pointless negotiations. Instead, he suggested tossing Chang Seob's body into a barrel and dumping it into the ocean, just the kind of cleanup job these guys were used to. When they still hesitated, Dojan took another route. He threatened to throw every one of them into the gate to become monster food if they didn't follow orders. That broke Chang Seob down completely. He sobbed, pleaded, promised loyalty, and swore never to betray Dojan again. This made Dojan pause for a moment. He knew he could end this problem right here, but something had changed in him. Compared to his past self, he had grown a little softer. So this time, he offered the guy a hand. Probably a moment Chang Seob would remember in his prayers forever, hoping he'd never get on Dojan's bad side again. But something was off. When their hands met, flames engulfed Chang Seob's hand. Even softened, Dojan was still merciless. Staring him straight in the eyes, He reminded him that this was his final warning. And then, without hesitation, he burned the man's hand clean off, reducing it to a charred pulp. As Dojan walked away, ignoring the screams of the broken president, he left one final warning. If anyone tried to harm his family ever again, he'd make sure they all died by his own hands. And from now on, protecting his family wasn't a favor. It was their lifelong job. Well, that's how you deal with traitors.